Good morning and Happy New Year. Welcome to Coffee Time with Kauffman, the comfortable place to talk about women's leadership. Today, we are talking about Auld Lang Syne. The timing is perfect because today is the last day of 2021. But before I get into that, my name is Maria Kauffman and I'm a life coach. And today's coffee is a dark roast from Guatemala. And I believe the location is pronounced Huehuetenango. It is wonderful, a wonderful dark roast. I have been very, very happy with the mixed selection of dark roast that I recently purchased. So I have started to sample as many as I could, just because I certainly was like a little kid on Christmas. It's like a special gift that I can sample many different dark roasts from many different regions. And this one from Guatemala is one of my favorites. Part of what I love about it too is as soon as it starts to brew, the smell is wonderful. So Happy New Year to you. Let us know if you are a New Year's resolution kind of person. I think I remember, maybe not exactly the time, but the question of whether you are a New Year's resolution person or not eventually came across in my travels in life. And I thought it was fascinating. It's similar to last week I talked about holiday spirit. So some people refuse to do, or I guess don't buy into doing New Year's resolutions. And I find that fascinating, especially as a life coach. One of the very first things I get into with my clients, or even before they're even clients, with anyone, I love to know, what are your dreams? And as I teach them, dreams basically are super essential because a dream will turn into a goal. I'm a very goal-oriented person, so it seems to be a natural thing, whether it's New Year's or not. So I certainly am on the side of the fence where I'm absolutely a New Year's resolution type of person. And as New Year's go, I'll have to share. First of all, I just love this time of year. It's a huge celebration around the globe. And that got me thinking a couple things. Number one, what was my favorite New Year's? And as you look back to, I can't remember. Oh, actually, I can remember the year. If you can remember the year, let us know. What was your favorite New Year's and why was that New Year so important to you? For me, the one that stands out the most was the year, it was 1999 turning 2000. There were many reasons why that was a special year for me, partly because the year before I had a lot of work. I grew in my career because the idea that a lot of the old technology was not going to function or was not going to handle the rollover from 1999 to 2000. Because way back in the day, 99 was used, or 00 was used basically as a termination. So a lot of the old technology, they expected to either malfunction or not be able to work at the roll of the year. And that gave me a lot of work and a lot of projects, getting new technology and replacing the old. So 1999 certainly was a memorable year in that regard. I learned so much in my career, basically because of this natural phenomenon. I find it interesting. So that was definitely a good time from a career standpoint. But I also remember New Year's very, very specifically. It was a big deal around the globe. And Peter Jennings took the initiative and had the vision to do something different that year. And I was appreciative because I was pregnant with my daughter at the time. So I actually spent that New Year's alone, I'll say alone, with Peter Jennings, but I was not alone whatsoever. It was one of the neatest times to watch a New Year's celebration because what Peter Jennings did is he basically started broadcasting as soon as the first time zone was changing and celebrating the new year. And they basically just continued that celebration and helped us celebrate from the major cities in each time zone the entire, I'll say 24 hours. It was an amazing broadcast. It sticks out for me because I learned so much about the globe, about our world, about the different ways different people celebrate New Year's and what it looks like to be, at the Eiffel Tower and see what it looks like to witness New Year's there and, in England and everywhere. It was truly, truly magical for me. Plus, there was a little bit of that motherly spirit, I believe, that was kind of growing because I was pregnant for the first time, the only time I've ever been pregnant. Yeah, so it was kind of magical in many ways. So that was definitely my favorite one. And it appeared that, I'll say, nothing catastrophic seemed to happen as a result of technology that I recall. I felt like I did my job in bringing all the new technology to the world before the 2000 turn point. So that was kind of cool too, just to kind of know that you had an active, or that I had an active role in helping upgrade the world from my perspective. Anyways, it was pretty awesome. So Auld Lang Syne, I called this session Auld Lang Syne because, once again, it seems to be a very common song that everybody can identify with. So I took the initiative to look up the lyrics for the first time. Obviously, the title of the song is very, very memorable, and I can sing that, repeatedly. But I thought, well, what does Auld Lang Syne mean? And what is that song all about? So in my quick review, I thought it was interesting because when I actually read through a lot of the lyrics, it's kind of hard. I'll say it's kind of hard to digest. It's not normal English. It's definitely not normal American English, I'll say. And a lot of the words in there seem to have some pretty interesting meanings. And I did not take the initiative to look up and try and understand all of them. Most of the song is just the repetition of Auld Lang Syne and an interesting phrase that says, "We'll talk a cup of kindness yet," which just sounds adorable. And as I just contemplated about the meaning of the song, it reminded me of my Girl Scout days and the song where there's lyrics to the effect that make new friends, but keep the old. And it just seems very, very fitting in the sense that all the people, whether you still keep in touch with them over time or not, are always going to be friends with you. The people that have come into your life, maybe you've lost track of them. Maybe they're just not even friends anymore. Things are a little turbulent right now, a lot of conflict going on in the world. So it's probably not a shock to say that maybe you have fallen out of friendship with people. And I love the song because it basically says, all of these memories and all of these friendships, regardless where they came from or what the nature was, are all really important for us to hold on to because they've become on some level a part of us. And that kind of leads into the three steps that I would love to share with you and encourage you to consider as you roll the new year. And of course, have your own stab at checking out the lyrics of Auld Lang Syne and doing your own interpretations. It's a tradition, I can say easily. Definitely a tradition. So, as a life coach, I encourage everyone to practice these 3 steps regularly. New Year's is definitely the perfect time to take the opportunity if you don't regularly already. But we'll get into step number 1, and that's gratitude. So if anybody knows me and have listened to my podcast, The Everyday Heroine, you understand that I am a big peace practice person. It is one of the 3 P's that I talk about regularly. Journaling is one of the alternatives for a peace practice. So in practicing gratitude and journaling, if we combine those 2, it's a pretty heavy hit. So as you consider this transition between 2021 and 2022, or any transition, maybe even it's a daily practice, maybe it's a weekly practice, could be monthly, or even could be quarterly. We start with gratitude. So we give gratitude for everything that you have. So I've already taken the opportunity to do a journaling exercise, just writing down every single thing that I could think of from 2021 that I'm thankful for. And when I do gratitude, I'm not just gracious, I'm not just thankful for the good things. Certainly as a life coach, there's no such thing as good, bad, or ugly. There are just things. So when I do a gratitude practice, I'm grateful for the one that comes to mind right now is I've been biking regularly, and my bike has gone through a couple of tragedies. I had a flat tire, and then I had a flat tire again. I recently had a couple issues with my helmet. In the wintertime, I wear a hat under my helmet, which makes me adjust the strap. And I've had a strap issue a couple of times. And just yesterday on my bike ride, the cage that holds my sneaker on the pedal came apart. And it was bad enough even on the ride that I actually had to stop and deal with it because it was hitting the road every time I took a pedal. And I'm grateful for all of these things. When you get to a place where you can be grateful for everything, it makes obstacles and challenges different. It's just a whole different experience when you can be grateful for things that normally are considered the bad things or the things that you want to avoid. And as human, we know that that's pretty much impossible. We are always going to have some obstacles and challenges in life if we're actually playing the game of life, which I hope everyone is. So gratitude, highly suggest just taking a moment, get a journal out. Even if you don't have a journal, just think about it. Just take some time. Maybe just close your eyes, lay on the couch, and have a moment where you reflect on 2021. Even if it's not 2021, I like to even go back a bit and do the past 10 years, or what did the past 5 years look like? It is amazing to give gratitude for all of those things, which leads me to the next step. Step number 2 is growth. So what opportunities have you seen or noticed? It's more of a reflection. I like to think of progress and growth as an exercise in evaluating and just noticing. Once again, as a peace practice, those who meditate or even do yoga, just the exercise of noticing what is incredibly powerful. So what has grown? I have a regular, I'll say, date with my daughter. Every 2 weeks, I go to visit her at college, and I've been doing that for her college career. She is now amazingly, shockingly, a senior in college and about to graduate here in the spring of 2022. And I just can't believe how fast this time has gone. It really has been an amazing journey to witness her growth. When I meet with her, it seems like every 2 weeks there is growth. I've seen her maturity grow. And I've also witnessed changes for myself in my life. And just being the witness to that growth and saying, a year ago, this didn't exist, or this is where it was, and now we're here. Even if the growth is, I'll say, in a negative trajectory. Maybe it's less of this, less fighting, or maybe it's more fighting. More fighting doesn't necessarily even make it bad. It may just show you that you are on a path towards something, and just to get curious about what that growth is telling you. Once again, it is all good. The most important part is noticing the growth. Positive, negative, good, bad, or ugly, notice the growth. And third is what I call a give to gain. Sticking with my theme of the G's here. So step number 3 is, as you are moving forward and thinking about where you're going, everything is in motion in life, we'll say, right? So we're at a point in time here where we're transitioning between 2021 and 2022. In 1 year's time, as I look forward, we're going to be celebrating this time next year. We're going to be celebrating the transition between 2022 and 2023. For those that do not like resolutions or don't like to set goals or don't like that might be a little bit of a resistance for you to either entertain the thought or do the practice. But here's a magical piece that comes along in the end to wrap this 3-step practice into a pretty important feedback loop is ask yourself, what do I need to give up to gain? So the easiest thing to talk about is dieting. And I definitely don't teach a lot of dieting. I've definitely had my own diets, and I have a healthy balance of dieting. But here was a magical tip that I learned along the way, because it brings it into clarity when we talk about diet, or more so, the proper term would more be, what do you consume? What do you eat? As humans, we need to eat to sustain life, period. So you're going to eat something. And maybe you're in a regular practice of eating things that either are not healthy for you or are healthy for you. So the give to gain goes like this. Maybe I'm just eating too much chocolate because I just love chocolate. Or maybe it's even coffee, right? Now, I would have a hard time because I do enjoy coffee so much. And I have had times where I have taken away my coffee habit in an effort to gain something. It typically comes back for me because it is certainly something that I enjoy. But let's take chocolate, for instance, right? I'm not a big chocolate fan. But when I get into eating too much chocolate, it does seem to get me out of balance. If I consume too much sugar, it actually makes me feel bad. I get funny headaches and I have dips in my energy. I actually lose energy because I'm eating too much sugar. So, in that vein, there is a give to gain. So, I had to give up chocolate and sweets and too much sugar in order to gain a more healthy and stable wellness or physical wellness. Um, so that's the idea. The give to gain idea also is important because if you give something up without substituting it, that's an easy way to get out of balance. That might have been my long way of saying that give to gain is a very, very important strategy in New Year's resolutions making in order to maintain some balance. And it's very, very powerful. A non-diet example for me is since my daughter has been in college, I can't help but want to ask, how are the grades? How are your grades? This simple act and that simple question, even though the obvious thing is the reason why she is in college partly is to get grades to get her to another level. The interesting thing was just by asking about her grades created a lot of stress in our relationship. So she asked me in freshman year if I could stop asking her about her grades. This was a very, very challenging exercise for me to put into practice. The entire time she's been in school, I've noticed that has been my motherly question. How are the grades? How are the grades? It seems natural, but because it was creating this stress, and because certainly she asked me to refrain, to give it up, I obviously had to consider it. And what a magical thing it was. So, as hard as it was to stop asking about her grades, I had to substitute that with another conversation. So, what am I going to ask a college student about if I'm not asking about grades, right? I know she's having a good time, and maybe that's not the type of questions that I want to entertain whenever I'm having a mother-daughter conversation with her. So I had to figure out another question that I could ask her so that our relationship was not strained. So that's the give to gain. A couple examples there. I would suggest, if you are interested, to consider up to 5 things that you need to replace. And they may not be necessarily material things, they could be habits. Maybe a habit that you noticed that you got into that might not lead you down the path or into the journeys and the adventures of your liking. So those are the 3 steps. Once again, that's gratitude, growth, and give to gain. As far as my recommendations for New Year's. All right. And may all the peace and joy of the world be with you now and through the new year. Happy 2022. Thank you for being a part of the conversation for inspiring women's leadership. Coffee Time with Kauffman is the comfortable place to discuss women's leadership because I am on a mission to help the world discover the truth about what women are capable of. When you are ready for your leadership mastery makeover, go to mariakaufman.com and click on Consult a Coach, where you can schedule time with me for an empowerment session. Have a great week and certainly have a wonderful New Year's celebration. Enjoy your adventures and journey responsibly. Thanks.